So I had a request to talk about syncing and audio inputs and output routing, analog and digital, connecting everything together. Is first of all multiple devices. Got to build an aggregate. You can do this quite easy. Audio MIDI setup, which is in your utilities folder in your Mac, allows you to build these multiple output aggregate devices, and you can see all of your different devices attached. There's the distinct NT that's coming in via one pretty heavy duty USB cable, and the ES9 is coming from the other side of the room with an even heavier duty USB cable. Some needed the odd driver, like the couple of Roland devices I have attached. Got my push attached to the microphone that you can hear me on now. Got Black Hole, which is a way of routing audio in your Mac. Sometimes you got to route these things around. Really useful little application. So that's got its own set of outputs. It gives us lots of channels up here. In Ableton we can pull up our inputs and outputs, audio input devices, audio output devices, and we can see the aggregate that we built here. Once we've done that, we can then open the inputs and outputs and configure all these. It's really useful to name these. I've got my push 3 happening over here too. Got a couple of audio channels just going to my little scratch box over there that I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with at the moment. Here's my Ableton session itself. So I'm also sending a clock out from the ES9 via the CV clock output, using a couple of the outputs and a couple of CV shapers. Allows to send modulation out of Ableton into the analog rig. This simple 4-note clock is what's clocking everything in the rig over there. We'll get to that in a minute. Lots of channels from the NT. I've got these in stereo pairs mainly. The ES9 gives us an SB diff as well. I don't think I'm actually using that right now. And a couple of audio inputs from the push. There's the Black Hole. We've got the bass drum and then everything else coming out separate from the 808. I always find just the 2 channels is enough. And here's the ES9 clock and transport with the 2 channels that are sending CV information. 4 channels of audio, 2 stereo pairs of audio. So that's it from the output section. MIDI wise, I'm using this U-MIDI, which I've had forever. It's a great IntelliGel module, another USB module. It's syncing from Ableton, and that's syncing everything in my performance case over there. That's the input ports. The Roland stuff's all getting tracked, so it's starting and stopping being programmed from the devices itself. So the PAMs are triggering the NT, but they are being triggered by the U-MIDI. So sometimes I just want to stop from the box itself. Got the nice button on the PAM. That's sending run and stop. But the U-MIDI is also sending run and stop too. And the same in the other big case. U-MIDI gives us a 16th note pulse. And also this click there can be set to different divisions. You used to have a slow one sometimes. That's going to the PAMs. That's a run. Got this extra little PPX2 add-on for the PAMs workout. So the PAM's getting a clock and a run input, but it's also sending the NT liked the times 24 pulse, so it's sending a pulse and a run from there. It's going into the black and the yellow down here. I try and keep a 3-color system. White's pretty much audio, blacks are gates and triggers, yellow's CV. So this is getting a run and a trigger in, and then the little module going to the ES5 expander is doing multiple clocks out to all the various different devices, like the data bender you can see next to it there. That's clocking everything at different divisions in the performance case. I've got a couple of other clocks in there that are doing other internal things, but that main clock is clocking all these different devices, like the delay here. It's getting multiple. So you can have everything basically n times. It's getting an input from the PAMs. the Curbinator, which is one of my favorite algorithms in the anti-cropping the audio in time. There's USB to the host, got these multiple channels you saw in the Ableton patch. Allows one stereo mix too, but also individual channels into Ableton for post-mixing. I love these Electron Audio CV split cables. This is what I'm using to come out of the Push 3. Gives us the kind of stereo headphone socket out, TRS I think those are, and then splits these out into your modular rig. This is the beginning of a great big snake of runs and resets and stops. It's coming out of the ES9, going to the case on the right, clocking all the things in that case. There's the run of the clock coming from Ableton. Going to a splitter, going to a mult. That mult heads to the other case, which is triggering the tempi. It's got a run and a stop on the tempi. Got it modded here, rare purple cable. And then the third case on the left, it's got another PAMs over here. Can't get enough of them. It's got the full collection of expanders. That's clocking everything in this big case over here.